tantalkhealth.com. That's tantalkhealth.com. Here's to your health and longevity.
Hi, I'm Lou Angelwolf, and I've had a lot of shows on Tan Talk over the years, but our latest adventure is imho.love, in my humble opinion, .love. It's about humor and aha moments, and of course, we share every week with our teacher into the exo-consciousness, Michael Murburg.
Yes, here you'll learn a little bit about the Tao and how the best lives are lived simply and with patience and compassion.
And we're waiting for you to listen in with us on Wednesday nights at 7:30 here on Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is John Austin, host of the Book Club on the Tan Talk Radio Network. I spent 35 years in publishing, and today I want to tell you about a book that could change your life. The book is No Cash, No Problem. The author is Dave Wagenford. Dave Wagenford is one of the greatest barter experts in the world. He's bartered over $500 million in goods and services. If you want to remodel your home, but the cost is just too high, or maybe there's an automobile that you have dreamed of owning, but thought you just couldn't afford. Well, this book will allow you to do both of those things, plus hundreds more with little or no cash. Maybe you're a business owner with a cash flow problem that leads to low or non-existing profits. Read this book and see how you can increase your cash flow and your profits by time-proven techniques. The book again is No Cash, No Problem, and you can buy it now online at www.tantalknetwork.com. Click on the book and follow the instructions, or pick up the phone and call Lola at 727-441-3311. The book costs only $6.99, so do yourself a favor and buy the book today.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Tan Talk Network, 1340.com. Welcome to the imho.love show. I'm Lou Angelwolf, and boy, we got an exciting show. In fact, last week, we had our old friend Fast Eddie Yarb, on from the previous Ron and Ron days, and we were blessed enough to, our schedules cleared, so he came back in. We had so much fun. We're just going to do Fast Eddie Part 2.
Well, I'm here to not only, throw myself out there, put myself on the line, but a lot of the stuff that you guys were talking about last week, I was begging you to come in. So if you didn't ask me to come back in, I was crashing because a lot of it was fascinating. But as a newcomer, there was a lot I wanted to catch up on. So sure. I appreciate you having me back and give me a chance. And maybe, for anybody that tuned in to find out what you guys were talking about, we can all get up to speed and then we can get on this
sure
trajectory.
Well, we will reintroduce. And of course, my partner here to the right, every week. It's good to see Michael Murburg.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, buddy. I'll tell you, the show's really picking up a lot of nice traction, and more and more people are listening and starting to understand this. Ladies and gentlemen, the show, the IMHO, that's in my humble opinion, .love, is about, and that's a new suffix you can get now for your website, .love.
Wow.
Yeah, instead of .com or .net or whatever. Because I was thinking about the old Lutopia show, and I go, a lot of it's opinions. And I like to, humility is a very, very difficult thing to maintain. Because even if you're, being very humble, giving, caring, quiet, unassuming, your right hand is giving, your left hand doesn't know. It's really, really hard to note that in public, because you can't go around like, hey, have you noticed how humble I've been lately?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I said, the opinion is, that's what all these talk shows are. That's what all these radio shows are. That's what all the podcasts are. And everybody, welcome aboard on Facebook Live. We love having you. There's Chris and Pam and Brett and I feel like Miss June.
Like the Mouseketeers.
Miss June. And Magic Mirror, tell me today, have all my friends had fun at play?
Wait a minute. This is like the
you got to show the camera.
Yeah, this is like the cross between Soupy Sales and what was that, Sherry?
Sherry Lewis.
Sherry Lewis.
It's like, and the dog looks like Goliath from Davy and Goliath. Well, anyway, imho.love. It's just an opinion, and we try to have a loving opinion. And of course, if you want to look back, you can go to Lutopia.com. There you'll find a copy of The Pacifist Riot, which is the backbone of this whole thing. And this show is about CE5. It's one of the factions that we deal with here. CE5 is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. That is human-initiated extraterrestrial contact through prayer and meditation. Michael is becoming one of the foremost guys in the world on this stuff. So the more you want to listen in, and we're gonna spend some time with that today. And of course, it's about humor. We're all based in a comedy background. Eddie was on the Ron and Ron show for how many years did you guys run?
Probably about 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Man.
83 to 96.
That's a good run.
Yeah, so we had 13 years, 3 good years.
13 years out, 3 great ones.
Yeah,
But,
it's like any marriage, you know?
And of course, the third factor of the show, because everything comes in threes, is the aha moment. In fact, this week we're going to talk a little bit about. Does everybody still know that we're still at war in Afghanistan? Everybody still familiar with that?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
more troops today than we've ever had in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of dumped them for a little bit for a while, then all of a sudden it's back on full tilt again. Bombings, people dying over there. You know, a couple of our guys died this past week.
You know, what was amazing was during the Obama years, we were there in a huge way, but very, very little press coverage about it. Just
Yeah, well, they did. Number one, we've been there 17 years, and Afghanistan was, you know, as I've heard, is a geopolitical gamut in search of justification. That was 9/11 and what we got in Afghanistan.
Yeah, and what's recently come out is the real weak link to why NATO got involved with this and why we ever got involved at all. It really was some cloak and dagger stuff that happened early on, and nobody ever brought it back up.
Yeah, there was actually nothing that was supported the war.
Yeah, there were suspicions that Osama bin Laden was about to commit
an act of aggression against the United States somewhere in the world, and people might get hurt. And that was the clear and convincing evidence that NATO used, supplied by the United States, to jump in. And now that they have the documents, and you look at the documents, you're like, where's the evidence?
Right, there is none.
None, absolutely none.
Well, and 9/11, of course, was the prompting for us to get in there and for the corporations, the United Corporations of America, to make billions upon billions, maybe even trillions of dollars on this war effort. You know, bombs get old; they got a shelf life. They're like yogurt; you got to drop them. You know.
Yeah, and if you have sociopaths running your country that have no qualm about killing people and making war and wiping out other civilizations, then we're going to have what we have today.
Yeah, and that's it. It really couldn't be more painful. But what's happening is the people of this country are waking up, and but what is confounding to me is the amount of layers in this onion. This is the biggest onion I've ever tried to peel.
And then where do you get your truth?
Right. Who do you believe anymore?
That's the key.
And that's where things kind of dovetail into CE5. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe the government story about 9/11, if you believe the government story about, the Kennedy assassination, and you believe that NASA is in charge of every piece of disclosure or evidence that we have about extraterrestrial life, then you do not belong here listening to this show. Okay.
No, do stay.
Okay, stay. But it's going to be contrary to absolutely everything you learned in life, kind of like biocentrism, which we'll talk about later in the show.
Sure. Wow, I love that. Well, folks, this is a live show. We're here at the Tan Talk Studios in sparkling Clearwater, Florida, just around the corner from where Chick Smith Ford used to be. And
that narrows it down, man.
Shop anywhere in the world you wish first, but Chick with Chick last. That was the big Ford dealer for those of you who've been around a long time. We got lots of friends listening to. Hi, Mimi. I just love to see Mimi on there. Mimi Callio, my old buddy. And the phone lines are open. If you're here in the Clearwater Metro, 727-441-3000. If you're one of these people that still loves to use toll-free numbers, we got one for you, 866-826-1340. You can listen to the show on tantalk1340.com. You can also listen to it on imho.love. It's also on YouTube, and we're on Facebook Live and
Automatic.
and Podomatic. So, the show's getting out there, and we're very, very grateful to have you all along. And hi, Amy. Hi, Bill. And there's Darlene. And yeah, man, Brad Reeder. All right. Hey, Brad, I do want to do that gig in Belize. I just got to figure out when, So he's got this great gig in Belize. I just can't get away. I got all this here. You know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, we'll just go round and round as we go. There was one thing that we didn't get into, Eddie, last week, till the very, very end of the show. When you closed the show, you went, see ya.
Right.
And I don't know if any of our local Clearwater people, see ya was probably the hottest catchphrase I've ever run into in my life.
Yeah, it's the equivalent today of the nod of recognition. You're walking down the street and you just kind of bump that head up.
Yep.
But see ya came from, it started out in L.A., and then when Diaz came back, Ronnie was working out in Los Angeles.
Wasn't it a Motley Crue concert or something?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and Motley Crue was doing it, and Diaz brought it back, and it was the definitive way to end a conversation. Ronnie didn't always like to have the longest of conversations.
Yeah.
So when he's like, okay, buddy, okay, yeah, gotcha, okay, sit. And when you give somebody that abrupt, you're done.
Yeah.
There's not much you can say after. I still use it, yeah.
It was on bumper stickers. It was on T-shirts, hats.
Yeah, it was the S-E-E-E-E, yeah,
Right.
but it was pronounced, sit.
And you just said it really, and it was the coolest. And I mean, it was a very what's the word? Not addictive, but it was catchy, and
it was an icon for the for the show. The show was great at and this was all on purpose, coming up with things that would be T-shirts.
right.
The Mahabone, the see ya. I had a T-shirt at one time. Fast Eddie saved my ass in traffic, and I mean, so I mean, it was everything was designed. That catchphrase, something that your audience knew that you could share.
Sure.
And it's similar to
Just do it.
Just do it for Nike. Let's bring that up now. And
Why not?
it was like your custom phone ring back in the day when we didn't have cell phones. Oh, that dude's that's a
That industry went away, didn't it?
that's how long ago this was. No cell phones, no internet.
Right. Yeah. Nobody. I mean, I had a cell phone back then. It was one of them big analog Mitsubishi. It was more of a weapon than. But I tell you, it talked great.
Yeah, and it came with a 2-inch hitch so you could put it behind your vehicle.
You get tired carrying your phone around.
It's a portable phone. Let me get my my wheelbarrow over.
The worst thing was it was 65 cents a minute.
Oh, wow.
And
Back with that was money.
back when money was money, and I remember having a lot of $600 phone bills back then. But in the business I was in, I was wholesaling cars back then. You get turned on to one car because they can get a hold of you right away. Boom. I saw the value immediately.
What'd you pay for your first CD player?
My first CD player at home or
Right.
in my car?
Yeah, so at home.
At home. $250.
Yeah, mine was $400. I mean, now they're a dime a dozen if you can even find a CD player.
Right.
Everything's MP3. But back in the day, we were spending. Think of the money that we spent years ago that we didn't have. We probably make more money now, and everything's cheaper. But why are we still in the hole?
Yeah. Well, they have it planned that way. It's a very, very treacherous path, but it really is. They just keep that brass ring just out of our reach. Every once in a while, somebody from the, from the dregs strikes through and makes it or whatever. But for the most part, your average ham and egger. He's just going to work his ass off till he dies.
It's amazing.
Yeah, debt slavery.
Yeah, it is debt slavery. And, you know, in fact, Pete and I were having a discussion. And over there, I want to introduce our producer. It's our buddy, Pete Blake. He's on the phone, and hopefully cutting a big deal. And but he's got some changes coming up in his life. And we had a short discussion. And, you know, he's been with this particular company, entity, whatever, for a few years. He's got friends there, but he's just not getting paid for his talent. And he's such a nice guy, and he's such a sweetheart. Now he feels guilty because he's moving on. He's going to leave these people behind, and he's going to go on to a new frontier. And that is going to be much more financially feasible for him. But I got to tell you, if you're in a similar situation, do not ever feel bad about improving yourself. Don't ever, you know, listen, take it from a guy that worked in a family business for 30 years on and off. I worked for my dad at literally, I mean, my dad was making, you know, really good money, and I was making a pauper's, you know, I was hanging on, you know. The job did come with some perks, you know, it did come with a free car to drive and free insurance.
And a $600 cell phone bill.
And a $600 cell phone bill. But never feel bad. In fact, there's sometimes in my show, I get up on a little bit of a soapbox. And in fact, I had a guy one night at Side Splitters over in Tampa. And I got on this thing. I said, you know what? I said, if you're in a job that you hate, you don't like it, you get up in the morning, you can't stand to put your shoes on to go to this place, quit, stop doing it. Don't do it anymore. I'm like Bob Newhart's psychology thing.
Yeah.
Well,
It's true.
Stop it. Don't do that. So, but my problem was it was a family business. I had deep heartstrings to everything that was going on. And my brother worked there. My whole family, it was the family business. And I did leave a couple of times, you know, due to family arguments and, you know, lack of funds. But it was also cool because there were some nice seasons there when I was touring as a stand-up comic, and things get a little slow in the summertime. You all right?
Yeah.
Things get a little slow during the summertime. I could come back, work, you know, at a leisurely schedule. But folks, I got to tell you, and I share this story every once in a while. This is a short trip down here. You really don't know when your last day is. You don't know what's going to alter your life. You know, my Pamela, my girl back home, you know, one day her husband came home and said, I got really bad cancer. And he didn't last very long after that. I have lots of friends, you know, they have, you know, the husband comes home, has a heart attack, then their life is this, and everything changes. But this is the story was a true story. It is a true story. This doctor worked in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he had a house out on Half Moon Bay, which was one of my favorite places in the world. It's really a beautiful, beautiful place. And is literally his first day of retirement. Okay, he doesn't have to go to the office. He doesn't have to do anything. All his bills are paid. He's got a, you know, brand new pair of sandals. He's ready to walk the beach. And as he's walking the beach, he sees a shell in front of him, and he goes, "Oh, it's very nice." And he leans down to pick it up. Unbeknownst to him, several hundred feet in the air above him is a condor flying with a 30-pound fish in its claws. The fish wiggles, breaks its way loose, falls several hundred feet out of the sky. And as this guy's leaning over, this 30-pound fish hits him in the back of the neck, breaks his neck, dead right there. Boom.
Whoa. Day one, huh?
First day of his retirement. So, like I said, folks, if you
keep looking up.
Let that be the lesson.
Keep looking, like Casey Kasem says. But anyway, What I'm saying is, if you're in a situation and it's same thing with relationships. You're in a horrible relationship. Don't waste your whole life in that relationship. This is a precious life. Your next breath is absolutely, it's an important, wonderful thing. And and we are so blessed here in the United States. And I know this show goes out all over the world, and wherever you are, I hope you're blessed too. But especially here in America, most of us, we have climate controlled environment, cars with shiny wheels, and food within arm's reach. Our basic life necessities are pretty much fulfilled.
Yeah, we crap in porcelain bowls.
We sure do. We sure do.
Most of the time.
So,
Well, right. It's like, sorry, Alabama.
but what I'm saying, folks, is, we do the show, and I promote it on Facebook, and the whole Facebook thing is really kind of amazing. A lot of people chirping and screaming, and and I've never seen a political field like this before, where just everybody's just playing whack-a-mole with each other. Like one guy pops up and says, Trump's an idiot. Another guy pops up and says, but look what he did. It's like another guy pops up, hey, I just made my car payment, and, but I think what's happened, and this is part of the cabal, the layer of control that you don't see. All we see are the talking heads. All we see are the people, the messengers. But all these messages have been manipulated, and now they're being presented to us. What I say is, don't give that stuff a whole lot of credence. And also, too, don't make it all so personal. Like we were talking about before, the Nike thing. Colin Kaepernick, a decent quarterback, I guess. I don't know. But he's and
not the last 2 years he hasn't been. He's been terrible.
Okay.
He's been a terrible quarterback.
Okay.
Well, it depends on your political spectrum. If
right, a different kind of quarterback, I guess.
Right.
But Pete actually has a sports show on Saturday. And go ahead. Where is it? What's the time?
Yeah, it's 3 to 6. It's the Sports Web. It's the evolution of sports talk radio. We give you our own welcome music. We'll let you call in twice, and we don't hang up on you like those other sports talk shows do in the Tampa Bay area on Saturday afternoons. It's the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk radio. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.
So, but what he's more famous for than any play he ever made is the kneeling during the national anthem as to show his solidarity against police violence. Does anybody even remember that part of it anymore?
That argument's been sufficiently clouded over the last year, couple of years, actually. No, I mean, people forget. Now it's a completely different conversation.
Right.
It's Nike. Why did Nike put his face, as the poster boy for giving everything, sacrificing everything?
Well, coming from Nike, who pays their female employees in Indonesia 20 cents an hour and makes them work 60 hours a week, I think that's very generous of Nike.
Oh, it's huge. and I can't believe how many people are responding to this whole thing. I mean, I just looked at it and I went, I don't think I have any of those shoes. I buy shoes that are comfortable. I don't look because they have a swoop on them or something. I don't care about that.
You know what you got to ask yourself though, and I have to take like a social media break every once in a while, because you look at all this stuff.
It's good for you.
And you're like, what are we talking about here? I'm not going to convince somebody who is in favor of Colin Kaepernick. I'm not going to convince somebody that's against Colin Kaepernick. The thing is, why does the dialogue exist? Like with Trump, there's both sides, and it's filled every day. 50, 60 posts from a single person. And we're like, what are we doing here?
Well, people don't know any better than just to step away and just, disassociate and just kind of watch things and figure things out.
Mhm.
Why do you have to jump in and be mad about something?
Yeah.
Why?
You know, one of the wisest guys I knew, and he was a quiet guy, and he was way older than me, and I met him when I was young, and he shared Charlie Marsh, my buddy Mike's stepdad. He goes, only argue when you're wrong. Only argue when you're wrong.
Well, geez, no wonder I don't argue much.
Says the Wikipedia. And you know what? That's some pretty solid advice. If you know in your heart that you're right and you're right on your terms and your conditions, what is the sense in arguing?
Yeah, there was a great line. Andrew Jackson had, I believe it was a Secretary of State who did something wrong. And the Secretary of State wrote a 201-page letter to him explaining why he wasn't wrong. Andrew Jackson picked it up and said, anybody who did nothing wrong wouldn't have to put it in so many pages. Put the document down and got rid of the guy.
Well, there you go. And I get it, you know. So only arguing when you're wrong will definitely, that means you're trying to, you're poking fun at that point, And I really think a lot of this stuff, I've never had my opinion swayed by a Facebook meme. I've, well, I never thought of it that way. But I can tell you that, I'm a little bit of a lazy researcher, but I do my best with the time allotted. I'm working full-time jobs and doing stuff like that. Again, I'm going to mention and promote our buddy, the Corbett Report. Fantastic. He's an excellent researcher. In fact, it's what he does for a living is research current events and all that kind of stuff. And he has really, really shined a lot of light. And as you research his stuff, you go, well, okay, well, here's the, he does put the links on the page so you can research it yourself. And the other thing I noticed too is anything that I'm going like, well, what about that topic there? He's not mentioning that at all. And I find that if he's not mentioning that, it's a wobbly topic. There's, it is opinionated, or it is some sort of agenda trying to be, spewed out.
That's why it's always nice to have facts.
Yeah. Although even though facts have become relative, but
ultimate facts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there are some things that you got to, I mean, I guess you can dwindle it down. If it's 97% true, I guess you got to go with it, right?
Yeah.
But there's always that factor of something ain't quite right.
Yeah, like total lack of evidence, stuff like that.
Yeah, the reason why we're in Afghanistan, because there's some skinny ass facts. And
Kellyanne Conway would have called it alternative facts. Oh, well, you're talking alternative facts. Well, those would be lies. Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, people are playing by a whole different set of rules.
Yeah, we're all 3 and 4 of us here. I just knowing people the way I know people, we're all good-hearted people, and we don't set out to deceive. Okay, so consequently, there are a lot of people that do, and they count us as rubes. We're just somebody who you can manipulate or somebody you can sway. And I just don't have that larcenous thought process. I don't think that way. It doesn't ignite me to think that way. And even if I'm confronted and taken advantage of, it's a lot easier for me just to move away from the scenario.
Right. Well, one of the things that like we do here is discuss the CE5, and you can't become involved in CE5 and still want to go back to the same kind of argumentative existence that you had beforehand. Because once you start making contact, you realize what a crock the left-right paradigm is, the good-bad paradigm is, the black-white, and once you start knowing truth for what it is, and seeing and making contact with these non-human intelligent beings, then you realize what a crock of crap that everybody else is just dealing with, and it's just so much better to separate yourself from it all, see the truth for what it is, know the truth, and be set free.
Amen. That's a true story there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting close to the, we got a break for the news here in about a minute. But everybody on Facebook, thank you. Say, hey, there's Mellow Jan again. Hey, Brenda. And Leroy Spooner's on.
Hey, Leroy.
Yeah.
And hey, Rosa.
CE5 extraordinaire. There's our buddy Jackie. And like I said, we got to go to the break. We got to do news. It's part of the station's agreement here. And let us know either via text. Please, you're welcome to text me or show up in the show notes, or you can give us a call. Is it better for us to break and come back, or stay connected the whole time? Because I can't figure it out.
We're to stay connected.
Yeah, we're going to stay connected this week.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is that little gap where we have to do that 6 minutes of news.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to find something more entertaining that we can plug in at that point. And that's what our buddy Pete, who's the
working on it.
We can have a puppet show.
There you go. You have a puppet show with no sound. You just listen to the news and you could do the puppets like you're.
And I got the wolf over here.
There you go.
And there's the old dependable Labrador over there.
I got Mr. Hand working there.
Wait a minute, I got a spare sock here. Wait a minute.
Mr. Sacco.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to imho.love. I'm Lou Angelwolf. Michael Murburg's here, and Fast Eddie Yarb. Good to see you again, buddy.
You too, man. Thanks for having. Let's dive into this CE5.
Okay, when we come back from the break, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, ladies and gentlemen, and it'll also we'll let you know that there's some stuff coming up in the future that you might want to be aware of, and this helps you prepare for that.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1,
WDCF, Dade City, Tampa Bay, WZHR, Zephyr Hills,
FM 104.3.
Listen.
This is not a treasonous act against the nation. It's a disloyal and cowardly act against the president. So I wouldn't say treason.
On the same day, correspondent Jeff Zeleny explains President Trump is also dealing with the new book, Fear, by reporter Bob Woodward, who is critical of the Trump White House.
In the president's first public comments about the book, he denied ever ordering or even considering the assassination of the Syrian leader, as Woodward reported.
That was never even contemplated, nor would it be contemplated.
Trump made clear he's trying to discredit Woodward, who he assailed on Twitter as a Dem operative. But the president once called Woodward great in 2013 after he wrote a book critical of the Obama administration.
Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy quizzed Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh during confirmation hearings today.
President Trump claims he has an absolute right to pardon himself, does he?
The question of self-pardons is something I've never analyzed.
And there was a question that might be parenthetically called the Paul Manafort query.
Does the president have the ability to pardon somebody in exchange for a promise from that person they wouldn't testify against him?
Sarah, I'm not going to answer hypothetical questions.
Bob Costantini, Capitol Hill.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Nielsen said that election security was not a mission envisioned for the department created after the September 11th attacks, but she said now it is one of her agency's highest priorities. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not filed your returns, the IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. With one call to Wall, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again. Our average client settles for about 10% of what is owed. We offer free face-to-face consultations in your local area. Call 800-727-0433. That's 800-727-0433.
Drop the sunscreen and step away from the grill. Dell's Labor Day sale is here with massive deals. Score huge deals on some of the newest computers with Intel Core processors, or step up your tech with the latest gaming systems, plus a wide selection of thousands of top brand electronics and accessories, all with free shipping on everything. Just call 800-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/Labor Day. Don't miss this summer savings finale. Call 800-BUY-DELL for huge Labor Day deals.
If you would like to become a wholesale buyer of the premium quality longevity product that you hear about right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network, for personal service, you can pick up the phone right now and call Lola at 727-441-3311. Again, that's Lola at 727-441-3311. Or for even faster service, log on to tantalkhealth.com. That's tantalkhealth.com. Here's to your health and longevity.
Hi, I'm Lou Angelwolf, and I've had a lot of shows on Tan Talk over the years, but our latest adventure is imho.love, in my humble opinion, .love. It's about humor and aha moments, and of course, we share every week with our teacher into the exo-consciousness, Michael Murburg.
Yes, here you'll learn a little bit about the Tao and how the best lives are lived simply and with patience and compassion.
And we're waiting for you to listen in with us on Wednesday nights at 7:30 here on Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is John Austin, host of the book club on the Tan Talk Radio Network. I spent 35 years in publishing, and today I want to tell you about a book that could change your life. The book is No Cash, No Problem. The author is Dave Wagenford. Dave Wagenford is one of the greatest barter experts in the world. He's bartered over $500 million in goods and services. If you want to remodel your home, but the cost is just too high, or maybe there's an automobile that you have dreamed of owning, but thought you just couldn't afford, well, this book will allow you to do both of those things, plus hundreds more with little or no cash. Maybe you're a business owner with a cash flow problem that leads to low or non-existing profits. Read this book and see how you can increase your cash flow and your profits by time-proven techniques. The book again is No Cash, No Problem, and you can buy it now online at www.tantalknetwork.com. Click on the book and follow the instructions, or pick up the phone and call Lola at 727-441-3311. The book costs only $6.99, so do yourself a favor and buy the book today.
Hello out there. Tune in every Saturday at noon on Tan Talk or Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers. Every Saturday at noon, we will find resources, education, and a shoulder for the caregivers. I know it's tough, but we can work it out together. Look forward to you tuning in on Saturdays at noon, where you'll have tons of information. Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregiver.
Make sure you tune in to the only FM sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area on Saturday afternoons from 3 to 6. That's right, 3 hours now of the evolution of sports talk radio, the sports web. We give you your own walk-up music. We let you call in twice, and we don't hang up on you like those other sports talk shows do. On Saturday afternoons in the Tampa Bay area, it's the sports web with your host, Peter Blake, along with Sean, the sports Don. So every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 6, it's the sports web on the Tan Talk Sports Network.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Lou Angelwolf, Michael Murburg, Fast Eddie Yarb. It's imho.love. And that little intro music we got going there, I'm still trying to pull it together to write a nice intro for my my nephew, Stephen Paul, to do a nice voiceover. He's got this great little voiceover business he's got going. So I want to use him. But that's that music is actually it's called Pets by
Porno for Pyros.
Porno for Pyros. I was going to say Jane's Addiction, but yeah, it's Porno for Pyros. And great little people. We'll make great pets. You know, that it's kind of where we're headed.
Right. If we don't better the breed here a little, you know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the imho.love show, we're happy to have you. Thanks for everybody for listening. There's our my buddy Johnny Sadler. He's out there watching. And thank you so much. And the show is about humor, aha moments, and CE5. CE5 is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And it's what it is. It's the next level of consciousness that is available to all human beings. And you experience that as you enter into the exo consciousness, a consciousness outside of yourself. And the extraterrestrials are see, they have that same vibration, that same lineage that is available to us. Because, you know, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't feel completely at home down here on Earth, and they don't get a lot of it, you know. And I know a lot of people that listen to the show, they're empathic, they're sympathetic, they're caring, loving, warm-hearted people, and the world just makes them sad. I had to literally, although I do have a slight doom porn addiction, sometimes I just like those stories. But really, that's what happened? Nah, I'm soaking in it. But I can't watch the regular news, the network news on TV. It just the way they sell it to you, and the way, I got a baloney detector that works real strong, and I can't take it. I can't watch it for a couple of minutes, and it's almost like if you watch like the local Spectrum or whatever the cable is that you got, and you watch their local news sessions, you get up in the morning and it's almost like, hey, this is what the poor people did while you were sleeping, you know. And they went out and they had a car chase, and they got in a drug bust, and they got in a fist fight, and they got, you know, somebody, you know, stuck somebody in the head with a bottle.
Yeah, you get to see the local dysfunction early before you get to the national news, and then just thank yourself that you know, you're not on Cops, and that somebody else is getting bombed and decimated by your government.
Now you go out and have a great day. Feel better about yourself. That's what it's all for. These people messed up. You didn't. You're waking up. Now go out there and have a great day.
You go to work and make your payments.
Right.
You're an earner. Oh, by the way, there's Toyotas on sale. Are Toyotas never not on sale?
It's like, yeah, they're always dealing.
Yeah, there's never a day you can't. And just to let you know, folks, I got a lot of experience in the automotive industry. There's one little rumor that's actually true. You can get a better deal on the last 2 days of the month.
Right.
You can. Okay. Because somebody's trying to hit a bonus or trying to hit a number, they will let some cars go. But I'll also tell you this. It doesn't matter whether you do it today. They'll take your deal tomorrow. They'll take your deal on Thursday. They'll take your deal Sunday morning. They'll take your deal. So the urgency is, you know, now unless you're looking at a car that's, you know, incredibly hard to replicate, you know, but
which is none of them.
Right. But if you're out to buy a silver Toyota Camry, you take your time buying that thing.
Yeah. They'll come to your door and sell you one.
They will. They actually have door service now. They'll bring the car right out to your house. Anyway, just to let you know, folks. Now, Michael, you have you exhaustively study the close encounters of the fifth kind and the exo consciousness. To the newbie person, that somebody says, "Hey, this sounds pretty interesting. I don't think I've heard of this. How do you encapsulate that?"
Well, first thing you need to do to join in the exo consciousness, I mean, it includes telepathy, remote viewing, but it's also a way to make contact with extraterrestrials and non-human intelligent beings. But the best way to start, and kind of my exo consciousness schooling deals with one sort, and that's making CE5 contact.
Okay.
And how we do that is just simply you learn how to meditate, you get in a group, you find somebody who knows how to do it already and has had success in contact. If you want, you can contact me at my website, disabilityattorney.net. Shoot me an email, Murburg there, and I'll send you a protocol. You can actually read how to do this, and then my protocol, there's all sorts of YouTube videos and things like that. You just, click on it and find out how to do this. And lo and behold, I've sent people this stuff, and the next day they're making contact, visual contact with non-human intelligent beings.
And yes,
let me jump in here as the newbie here, and this is why I wanted to be here. And this,
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity, Lou. So what? I mean, it sounds really cool. I mean, I'm loving it so far. What am I hoping to get by making this contact? Am I searching for a truth? Am I just looking to make the contact?
Well, what you end up getting is a strengthening of your heart and a lightening of your load. I mean, you learn how to make contact, and all of a sudden, when you do make contact, and you have an orb or a craft appear, or you have some other entity, and they appear in real life and physical life and visual, fields, both up close and far away. It depends on what you're ready to handle. But you number one, you realize that you've been lied to by everybody throughout your entire life about this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, you know an absolute truth. That yes, in fact, these entities, these beings do exist. That's the first truth. The second truth is, yeah, they're on your same wavelength as long as you're on the wavelength of love and compassion for them and for other beings and your fellow man. And that puts you in a good spot, in a good place. There's a reason why why many people who do this come back again and again. Every month we have a monthly get together and we do CE5, and it doesn't get any better than this. The people that are involved with it are spiritually attuned. They're just kind, nice people, and they spiritually elevated, if you want to call it that. But yeah, spiritual elevation is probably the basic thing you get from CE5 contact, and then after that it develops into other things that are also positive.
Who is your crowd? I mean, do you have a demo of are these? Do you get business people? Do you get?
I get all sorts of people, other lawyers, doctors, business people, artists, comedians, and a shout out to Buddy Bolton, who's got another comedian who's got his group in the Hudson River Valley. But yeah, just
homeless people.
Oh yeah, them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're with a group,
the spectrum.
If you're with a group and you're making contact and you have a skeptic among you, will it thwart the whole effort of everybody?
It doesn't really much matter the skeptic. You can be skeptical, but as long as you have no fear, they'll show.
Right. The fear is the hard part. If you really are afraid that the contact is going to happen and you're going to, I think that whole thing with the alien and the anal probes, it's like everybody, that's like the default bad joke about all this. If you have that mindset, then you need to sit out a couple of innings till you watch the game be played, because it's not about that. What it's about is people here, we humans that have, and we've been in a circle with 30, 40 people, but creating a collective consciousness of peace and harmony and understanding, and sending an invitation to a higher level of intelligence, an ulterior level of intelligence that wants to communicate with us on that beam of love that is, it's obviously the resonant thing throughout the universe.
Right. It's like the Schumann resonance. It's all connected. I mean, you end up learning how to do it yourself. I've made contact by myself. I have made contact with groups, and it's all the same thing. Okay. It's all the same conscious desire to share your love and make contact and just be a better being.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through a consciousness or a contact. Are you talking visual? Are you hearing? Is there a conversation?
It's I would do this if it wasn't visual.
Right.
All right. It's really, the last group meeting we had, we probably had 20 visual contacts with entities. There's ships that materialize and dematerialize. We've had black ops helicopters out around 5 or 10 minutes after ships have showed up and give us a buzz or two, aimlessly following in where they used to be, looking for something that is now light years away. And it's real. And one of the good things about this is when you bring 20 or 30 people into a group and they all watch this and see this, you're not hallucinating, it's real. And it's happening in real time. And matter of fact, we had MUFON people up, Mutual UFO Network people up to our group last February, and that's when it started. I finally got a report back from one of the MUFON people. We had 2 photographs of ships, and basically they analyzed it and they said, Well, we don't know exactly what it is, but it's not a satellite. And it's not one of anything we've ever made.
Yeah.
So I mean, to what degree do you need? The other thing is we've had so many materializations. It's not unusual to have 15 sightings a night. Some groups are less, some groups are I guess are more, but we've been really blessed with the people, especially the people I have in my group. All different walks of life, but very spiritually attuned. A lot of them have had prior contact experience, or they've been either experiencers or contactees. We can go into that in a little bit. But they all bring it to the group, and it's all about contributing to the group. And the lowest common denominator, once again, is fear. It's the opposite of love. So when you bring your love into the game and then you pass it around, there's a protocol for doing it. We start with a convocation inside the house to set the mood. And then we go outside, we join hands in an invocation. Lou's very good at his invocations, by the way.
Thank you.
But he is. And we do an invocation, and part of that invocation is holding hands and actually taking your energy and sending it around the circle from your left hand to your right hand. And that actually creates a toric energy circle that you focus in the middle of the circle and then send up for love and contact. And that is your exo-consciousness working, and it happens.
So can when somebody comes out to this, I mean, you're looking for a general healing, I guess, a general peace. Can you come to the CE5 with something specific that you are desiring to heal or change?
It's funny you said that. Last time, 1 or 2 months ago, I had a friend of mine who had a reoccurrence of cancer, and we set up a prayer that she be cured. And 2 days later, 2 orbs showed outside of her door on the water. And then that month, she went back for her tests, and they found that her rates had decreased by 50%. And then once again, she contacted me, gave thanks. And then a couple days later, 2 more orbs appear on her back in her backyard, doing the same thing.
And I don't mean to trivialize this, and so please take this with the absolute honesty it is asked.
Sure.
If I wanted to make contact and I'm like, hey, I need to drop a ton of weight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you lose weight, or can you? I mean, well, you must be able to lose weight. These contacts, I mean, they cure cancer. Taking off a few pounds.
Yeah, that's part of the book, Beyond UFOs. I was lucky enough to contribute to it, but there's a section in the book that was written by Dr. Joseph Burks, who's been doing this for 30 years, and they go into different case studies of healing from everything from cancer to bad knees. This is legion in the study. And what I'm talking about is a study that the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters and Extraordinary Experiences, FREE, did. And that's how kind of I got involved in the egghead part of this. I mean, these people are pretty smart. They got PhDs from Harvard and PhDs from MIT, and they're all involved in this program.
Yeah.
And they're all researching exo-consciousness, and consciousness is the base for not only contact, but the nature of reality itself.
So what is, and I forgot where I was going with that. That's all right.
But what you find is the thing that I love most about it is the collective consciousness that we create with the prayer, with the and just the beautiful unifying of the beings, the people, our human beings. We all are in a state of surrender, a state of peace, a state of tranquility, serenity, and we're showing the ETs our bellies. We're making ourselves vulnerable, and trusting that the love that is going to be communicated with us is pure, and it's not come to harm us. Okay, and as that builds within the group, that's when you start seeing more and more signs, more and more craft,
intensity, closer and closer. This is kind of how I put it, and then take it with a grain of salt. Is I I ask my group to go to the people they love the most, whether they're people that are alive or have passed, and find that kind of love. It's a feeling of love you have in yourself. It's way deep down inside, and you go for that. It's your most vulnerable point. And you take that deep, wonderful love you have for somebody, and then you take that and you want to share that with the extraterrestrials, because that's the best thing you got. And because this is all love-based, that attracts extraterrestrials like nothing else in the world, because as flawed as humanity is, we have probably the greatest capacity for emotional love and to emote our love and to show it than any other species that I've read about or know about. And that's what draws them in.
Is there an active suppression to keep people finding out more about this? I mean, because this is very cool. I mean, it's very helpful. And is there some sort of, is government involved or some sort of suppression to where if we healed ourselves and didn't rely on anybody anymore, that, do you find yourself running into that?
No, actually, we've run the other way from it, because the government has been in the business of non-disclosure for well over 60 years now. Roswell was a reality. We reverse engineered craft. We have all the mechanisms that, we've read about, 0-point energy, anti-gravitational devices. They all, in fact, exist. The problem is the government does a pretty good job of not disclosing it, because it's the basis of our military industrial complex, and it gives us a competitive edge against absolutely everybody else in the human, in the human ground game. So they don't want to disclose it. And that's where CE5 takes you above all governments. It's the act. It's the most incredible act of anarchy that you can think about, because you're making contact with beings from another world, other dimensions, other densities, without your consent, and they're here without the government's consent, and they could care less.
Right.
All right. And
what's the government to them?
Right. This is all a matter of freedom. It's an absolute free act.
Now, and that's what I find. A lot of people, they're very, they have a lot of pent up energy, a lot of it negative energy, because they're not fulfilling their human experience, and they're good people. They just don't know how to release it. Now, what happens here with our group is we kind of open up to each other, and we act individually, of course, but also as a collective consciousness. And for those of you who are, and I'll let Michael define this here, if you really say, is there a bigger page on this? Is it, how can I got this little podcast in Clearwater, Florida. Actually, there's a guy named Dr. Stephen Greer, who
he's the original mover and shaker in this. And
yeah.
He's got to be given a lot of credit for his act and disclosure in the Disclosure Project and ESETI and everything that he's done up to this point. And he's gotten a little bit institutionalized. So
right.
The CE5 groups that are involved now are not necessarily, they're under nobody's penumbra. It's all people, acting as individuals and small groups in a grassroots movement to change the world.
Is this, I don't even know if this is the right question, but is this a substitute for a religion?
No, it's not a religion at all. What it is it discards all religion. I mean, there are methodologies to make contact, but it's not religious in nature. When you start talking about religion, you start destroying unity consciousness. Once you realize that everything's related, everything's connected, and that you are connected as well. Religion has no purpose anymore, because you're imbued or endowed with the natural morality that was yours from the time of your birth. And unless you've been victimized by violence or war or some other genetic defect that makes you unable to live in a society, this is the gift that God, whoever you want to call him, the Creator, has given to you, and it's your right to make contact with your brothers and sisters that are up there, and celestial beings. They too are human in nature. We're just part of a much larger evolutionary project that goes way farther than the Earth and into multi-dimensionals, and and farther than light can travel, and farther than your imagination can go.
Exactly, and that's very well put. Thank you. And also, too, just to touch on Dr. Stephen Greer, he has a movie out that you can watch it on YouTube for free. It's called Unacknowledged, and it goes into everything that we're talking about. So if you wanted
great movie, by the way,
it's a great movie. And if you wanted a primer about what we're talking about, just watch the Unacknowledged film. You'll see how the government responds to this, but you'll also see how human beings respond to this.
I mean, as a newbie sitting out here,
Yeah.
I mean, how cool would it be? I mean, you're actually making physical contact, seeing things, hearing things, taking away
and getting them to talk back. I mean, I because I lead the group. I have the special laser, and you got to watch that because it's real. You shouldn't be. You really need to know what you're doing. But when we see a craft, it'll light up, and then hit it with a laser, and it starts talking back. We get them back in Morse code. We get them saying hi, and in response, you just say we love you, and then they start blipping back at you.
Yeah, and you don't even need like a specific language for it because it really is a generation of the heart.
Do they say "see you" when they go?
No, much. Well, actually, that's the way they go. Is kind of like that. They want to leave, they're gone.
I think it's fascinating. I don't know why. Where do you go to get to be part of this?
Well, you can find a group generally. You can go on Facebook and or Google CE5 groups. They're meetup groups. I have a meetup group out in Pasco County. We meet there, and if you're interested,
Area 52.
Area 52.
Nice.
Just contact us and you're more than welcome. It's a meetup. Tampa CE5 ambassadors to the universe. Hit the meetup, join up, and find out what we're doing.
And also, too, Michael will personally send you an itinerary. Go to disabilityattorney.net. That's disabilityattorney.net. Hit Michael up in an email. He'll send you the package. And, we have nothing but love. And that's what the show is about. In my humble opinion, love is what it's all about. And we love spending this time. This is a nonprofit show. We're not monetizing this show. This is, I've been blessed with enough money and friends that have friends and money that we keep all this stuff rolling. And it is out of our heart, the sincerity of our heart, that you might find a little peace. And like I said, if you're a little, you're a little whacked about, this world, it's because the other world might be calling you. So I'm Lou Angelwolf, Michael Murburg, Fast Eddie Yarb, our buddy Pete Blake. And I guess in old-fashioned style, we got to say it.
See ya.
See ya.